Hey guys, welcome back to Soccerholics TV. It's Ben here as always. And yes, we are still in the midst of the lockdown due to COVID-19. Just want to do a big shout out to all the football fans around the world that are not being able to enjoy the best hobby and pastime of their whole lives, and that is watching football on TV. Even though we had the return of the Bundesliga this weekend, I checked it out, and obviously you could see it's a massive difference with not having fans there. But with all massive respect to the Bundesliga in Germany, it was great that they got to go back, and hopefully football will be back on our screens shortly, featuring all the leagues around the world. Today, I would like to do an episode based on a docu-series that I recently saw on Netflix, and it's all about this team right here, FC Barcelona. And to help me with this docu-series, I'd like to welcome two people that have been on the show, and you can reach them at the Peña Blaugrana de Toronto Facebook group. They are the supporters of Barcelona here in Toronto. Please welcome Dali and Shaun to the show. Hey guys, welcome. How are you? How you doing?
Not too bad.
Well, all good, you know, keeping myself quarantined, you know, watching all matches, trying to make a balance between working from home and, you know, but all good so far, all good.
Yeah. Shaun, how are you? How much are you missing football right now for yourself?
I'm missing football, but at least we got the highlights there, and, you know, this will come to an end and get back to enjoying all the great stuff, and that documentary that we're about to review definitely gets us in the mood.
All right, let's get into it. So if you haven't seen it, guys, it's called Matchday inside FC Barcelona. It's on Netflix. It's an 8-part series. And it basically follows the 2018-19 season of the club, the highs, the lows, the exclusive footage of players' profiles, behind the scenes of, like, let's say, obviously, it's one of the biggest football clubs and brands in the world. So let's get into it, guys. What did you take from the documentary as a series compared to other ones that you've seen, and obviously being portrayed from your club of being a fan of Barcelona? Dali, start with you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the part that I like the most, though, it shows the human part of the players, because, like, yeah, as you said, there is a lot of other series that are about football teams. There is one about Pep Guardiola and his current team. There is one about I don't know how many teams that are like only what happened inside the dressing room and how to prepare their matches. But this one, it takes a different approach, like being with in their houses, with their families, showing like how their family interacts with them on a match day. Like, there is something that you don't get to see a lot in like most of any other team, right? So like showing that human part of them, it's like showing them as like a normal person as we are. It's like a different. It's a nice takeaway.
Awesome. Okay, Shaun, what was your highs and lows from that docuseries?
The whole thing was very well put together. When you really look at our current era of social media, we do have a lot of more insight or more views of these gentlemen and ladies' lives. But in the documentary, like Dali was saying, you got even a little bit more so, because you can only get something from a picture or from a 30-second clip. But for a good amount of dozens of minutes that we're running around with Rakitic, Suarez, and Messi's relationship, you see them cooking, joking around, like the scenes with the toothpick with PK trying to sit down. You're seeing a little bit more of a human side to them. And like Dali was saying, you just kind of get that, you see the relevance of how their lives, it's a job for them. And when they leave, they're back to their regular lives. And how much passion they have, not only for the team, but also for the city that it resides in.
Yeah. So like most of the episodes are based on like a player profile, and you know, I'm really impressed I'm learning more about Joao Piqué, Lenglet, Ter Stegen, Vidal, Sergio Roberto, Jordi Alba, and the last episode about Carlos Elena was just amazing. What was your favorite player profile that you got to know more about a player that you didn't know before?
Dali,
I was really impressed when I heard Ter Stegen speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's got a very thick German accent, isn't he?
And
I wasn't expecting that, but definitely I think that one's like you see like the effect that not just the team but the city had in him and his wife. Like, he's like building his own house in Barcelona. Like, it doesn't matter what happened with the team, he's planning to return to Barcelona and live there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And Shaun?
Aside from players like Alina showing his struggle, back and forth, not only coming from the youth squads, but getting that injury right off the bat, it definitely took its toll on him. And then the support columns from the support staff around them was good. The Coutinho breakdown to kind of see how he is with his family life and how the pressure and some of the shortcomings that he's had on the field, how it's taken its toll on him. Like even with Barto coming down and having a talk with him after one of the games, talking about, don't worry, it's not the entire Camp Nou, it's only a couple of sections that are booing you, and you're at a great club. Now, we all know how that ended up, especially with him being loaned out to Barron, but it was informative. And not with a player, but even the clipping there with Valverde was interesting, seeing the coach showing his hobby with photography. And once again, you kind of see maybe where the players, especially some of the senior staff, how much love they've had for him, and seeing how he's a great human being to his soul, not only as a professional, but even in his regular life. That was kind of highlighted to a degree with that episode, and I thought it was very insightful.
Yeah. The standout episode for me was the one labeled 18-Day Storm, which basically sees the club at its most lowest point as they get knocked out. Yeah, they get knocked out of the Champions League at the semi-final stage after leading at home to Liverpool 3-0. And then they lose the Copa del Rey final to Valencia, all within a few weeks. So here I am watching it, and I'm really it's weird because you're seeing all these episodes like they're all on a run leading up to that, and you think, I'm trying to think where I was when I saw it, because I remember, because I didn't realise the magnitude of that game, especially the second leg, until I spoke to a Liverpool fan, a friend of mine this weekend. But I was actually remembering, yes, that's the goal, the Trent Alexander corner, the quick one, that was it. But how did you guys feel, obviously rewatching that? What were the emotions going through? And I mean, and then, you know, could it, well, you must have been devastated, obviously.
Yeah, definitely it brings back the emotions. Like, I mean, like, even though for every of the games, like, I still, like, got the nervousness, like, you know, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Even though I already know the score. So it's like, it make you feel nervous again. But, like, building up to that episode specifically, like, I watched it all the way, probably until the first leg when we won 3-0 at the Camp Nou. Then I have to stop and make a pause, like, prepare myself psychologically to watch the game, because I knew what's coming. Because, like, even though the documentary is, like, very well done, like, it was not our best year at all. But it was, like, interesting to see how they handled it, and how, like, they were preparing, knowing that it happened before with Roma. Like, they knew they could have that, they had this ghost from the past, like, on them, and, like, how they tried to avoid it, but still, like, it was, like, a really frustrating result.
Yeah. Shaun, how did you feel?
And, well, opening the wound, it seems if it hasn't closed yet. I was watching that particular episode at 2 a.m, and I just went on my bike and started working out just to kind of get my mind off of it. Definitely, it was a very hard, as they say, 18-day storm. We weathered it by at least winning La Liga and preparing for a new year. And it sounds so cliche, but you can't have the sweet without the bitter. And hopefully it lights their fire. I don't know if Dali agrees, but it kind of seems like we might have even psyched ourselves out before the game. Maybe kind of revisiting those ghosts and leaving it in the past. Messi's speech was great to the guys. And, you know, at the end of the day, the better team did win. You know, we had the 3 goals, and we didn't muster it on the other end. And such is life. At least it wasn't necessarily a bad call or a VAR decision. And, we've exercised that type of pain to other teams. And unfortunately, we felt it twofold, tenfold, 100-fold. And it's still going through our hearts and our minds.
Yeah. During the series, you get to see some of the fans, and what I loved about it is, like, the manpower it took to actually get access to, obviously, not only, like, you know, the changing room and listening to the players and the VAR calls. You can actually hear the referee. I think episode 1 showed that. Oh, yeah. But I mean, it detailed people such as, like, a blind fan and his experience about going to a game and how he can hear the game and what special things there are in place for people of the blind nature. Also, like, the police, how they crack down on looking for trouble outside the game. I mean, what goes into their preparation for the game, and then it goes to, like, the priests of the faith, which I thought was awesome, because it's like, you would never know that priests actually like football? I would never know because you just put them on a you relate them to being of the higher faith. But were you impressed by they actually get to capture a lot of the fans and the different people that actually enjoy Barcelona?
Well, yeah, like like European fans are like a completely different. It's a way of life, right? So like back in the day, we have the hooligans, and nowadays every stadium, every team is well prepared for any eventuality that might happen with the fans. Like Barcelona had the boisterous noise, which was the extremist fans for Barcelona, and they were kicked out of the game, out of the stadium, like for good. So now, like trying to make it like accommodated back to be friendly for everybody, to bring families all together to the stadium. It's especially for a game like Clásico. That's the one I think you're talking about. Like the police has to prepare themselves like weeks in advance before this game, because like not just the biggest game in Spain, it's the biggest game in the world. Like it's the most like watched game all around the world, even more than the World Cup finals, right? So it's like it's a lot of pressure on the city, and also like on the security of the city, right?
Yeah, true. Dali, what did you think about the fan footage and just being behind the scene? Sorry, Shaun.
It showed you like, go ahead, Shaun.
Oh no, go on, brother.
Okay, it shows you why the team is more than a club, right? Like why the sentiment is that big. So it shows like people who has been part of the team keep following the team, like Paul, like Gasol, showing the game for the teammates in the NBA, right?
And Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the interesting things was watching maybe the United fans, like with the little kid, where his dad is a United fan, but he's a Barca fan, and him even coming and maybe trying to speak a little bit of the dialect to buy a I believe he was buying some type of treat or a sweetie. I also liked the team's kitman Galan, where they kind of showed that he used to go out and retrieve the balls just so that he could let them know that in 20 years I want to be the kitman. And seeing the footage where he's got all those amazing kits and he's got the foot gear and everybody has that great relationship for him. It truly shows the more than a club. And not only before the game, during the game, but after the game, it's a way of life. And Sagan definitely has picked up on it, and he loves it. Like Dali was saying, building his own house, and Valverde was joking around about trying to ride his bike up the mountain to try to find where it was, and he was exhausted. And we all know that the cameras are rolling, so they're aware of that. Like, let's not kind of forget that either. But you do see some type of symmetry of community. You do see that they have respect for the badge. And when you're seeing some of these players very upset that they're not performing to their top qualities because they want to honor the past, they want to honor the chances that they have, that the God's gift of their health and the ability to even play this game, to reach that level and to get that far, and maybe not to fulfill that potential, how much they are very self-critical of themselves, and how that affects how big the club is going all the way back 100 plus years, right?
Yeah, no, true. The only thing I hated about it from the get-go was hiring John Malkovich as a narrator. I looked on the internet. He doesn't like
these better voices, yeah.
Yeah, he's not even related to supporting the team, and he doesn't support any other team that I can see on the web. Yeah, and the way that he's pronouncing names, I'm like, listen, if I'm Barcelona, why didn't I get an ex-player to narrate a great series, or just another professional that would actually go and meet the players and talk about this stuff? But obviously, I know it'd be a bit difficult. They don't really want to talk to someone after a game's finished, but at least have someone that knows the game and not John Malkovich.
Yeah. Like I would go for Morgan Freeman or something like that.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah, he's got that great soft voice, isn't he?
Yeah, it was a little weird to kind of see Malkovich talking, like great actor from Rounders, Con Air, etc. But one scene where he was talking, Coutinho's episode, where they're talking about previous Brazilians being there. He's listing, Dinho, Rivaldo, Romario, and then when it comes to El Phenomenal, Ronaldo, the translation says phenomenal, and I'm like, what? Like, you would think that the editing team or even he himself would have a script in front of them that they could actually pronounce the player's nickname properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be it. He eventually got it done, but maybe somebody with a little bit more energy to them. Monotone didn't really work for this particular documentary.
Yeah. So do you, I think it's a limited series, but do you think they would like to do another one? Do you think they would give access again to a crew to follow them, or will it? Now that we've seen it, it's like, do we really want to see more? But I mean, Sunderland Till I Die has got 3 seasons. So, I mean, do you think, and they're a lower club, so would you want to see more footage about Barcelona as a fan in the coming seasons?
It's always good to know more about your team, right? Because it gives you access to some things that you don't know or you don't even imagine, right? Of that part of the club that is always behind the scenes. So like it makes you like identify like more with the team or with the players, with the personal lives, with the likes, what they do, the hobbies, stuff like that. And for what I know, like it's because company who's making the documentary together with Rakuten.
Yeah.
So probably we'll have it 1 or 2 more seasons later, if hopefully on a better season that we have more silverware. But
yeah.
The ratings could also be skewed as well because so many people at home, maybe the ratings through the roof. They do a season 2, notice that there's a drop, even though that's not necessarily reflective of the quality of the documentary, and they could easily squash it. Hey, like Dali said, it'd be great to see more. They did kind of end the doc with talking about the incomers like De Jong and Griezmann. So you never know. Maybe even with the whole COVID situation, it could be an angle that they could throw in as well. And the fact that the season's not officially done and they're bringing back La Liga, you never know. It could make for good entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's hope maybe they do that. Okay, and then just to round off, I spoke to Shaun about this on the phone on Friday night, Saturday night, last night, whatever. Talking about Lionel Messi, and it's funny because going back to Ernesto Valverde in the series, there's so much love for that manager and coach, and I respect him. I think he's a great manager, coach, and you see the players love him. He's not there now. Obviously, now we're talking post into 2020. So Lionel Messi came out on Friday saying that under the current coach Quique Setien brand of football, he believes the club won't win the Champions League. A, are you very surprised that he said this, that he's a player that would actually come out and say something like this to kind of stir the pot? And B, after watching the series about Ernesto Valverde, are the fans missing him? And was it wrong to get him fired? Dali, start with you.
Okay. Well, Messi has a lot of affection for Valverde. It's like the whole every year or seasons that he stayed there, because like every time, even despite the results weren't the best ones, he was always coming out and defend him like in front of the press, and always talking really good about his ways and his way of seeing football. But now that like that's in the past, and you have a new coach, which has like a different idea, like a more. I think it's more compatible with Messi's way of seeing football, like Quique Setien's ways. So, and of course, he's the captain of the team, and he has to be always behind the coach, and like support and trying to like share it to his teammates to like go all for what we want the most, like the Champions League, right? So it's like has to support the head of the team, which is the coach.
Yeah, true. Shaun?
There was a lot of the hashtag Valverde out that I'm sure we all heard about for months, if not for the last 2 years. One of the counter arguments to that was, if there was such a problem with Valverde, and he wasn't being protected by the upper brass, then was he being protected by the senior staff, who maybe wasn't pushing the players to work out more, etc. That's something behind the scenes we will probably never know. So to kind of go any further with that is a little bit pointless. But I heard that Messi's statements were kind of taken out of
context,
kind of intend in regards to the way that we were playing before the COVID break, before the shutdown. If we continue to play like, there was no way that we were winning the Champions League. So maybe it was more reflective of the team than the actual coach. Are we missing Valverde? I don't think that Setien has enough time between the time that he came in when we lost the Copa to the time that the lockdown happened. We do know that there's a lot of other players who could benefit from a new coach coming in. If we get Coutinho back, Dembele after his injury, and even Griezmann being played out of position, at least for what the position he played at Leti, there is that feeling that new blood was needed. And maybe the body language, some of the players, aside from really liking Valverde, wouldn't mind this new change. I think it's a little bit too early to decide whether or not to really rate Valverde's experience. Maybe in a year or after this year, we could really see giving Setien maybe a year on his own, because you have to remember he came in with basically somebody else's game plan, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So it's I think another year or so we could really look back at Valverde, and maybe we'll have different glasses, maybe we'll have different lenses to see his tenure here. And it maybe didn't have the most trophies, but when Luis Enrique was leaving, he himself had 9 out of 12 or 13 trophies within that period of time. And there was hashtags for him to get out. So,
you can't please every fan, can you? You just can't in this game. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time and reviewing the docu-series. To our viewers, I know you're missing the game very much. I am. Dali and Shaun are, trust me, because they are big fans of Barcelona, dedicated to their supporters club here in Toronto. They always go to every single game, home and away. They love it. So I'm sure they are very sad to be missing their team. But, hopefully there is a break in the curve, as they say, and it will be returning to the global world that loads of people are just dying for, live football, to see their clubs, to get that beer, to get that momentum, the atmosphere of waking up early, going to the pub, watching it at home. That's going to definitely come back soon. Let us know if you've seen the docu-series. Give us a comment, what you liked about it, what didn't you like about it. Is there a new favourite player, if you're a fan of Barcelona, that you admire more now than you never did before? Let us know, like, subscribe, comment in the box. Until then, this is Ben saying thanks for watching Soccerholics TV, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Peace to Barca.
Thank you.
Peace to Barca.